Formula One just witnessed something so extreme, teams are already panicking behind the scenes. Mercedes didn't just take pole in Japan. They locked the entire front row, with a gap of nearly 3/10 between their own drivers. And that's almost unheard of in modern Formula One. But here's the detail that's causing real concern. Antonelli didn't just set the fastest lap. He was fastest in every single sector. A perfect lap. The kind engineers almost never see, even from world champions. And when rival teams analyzed the data, something didn't add up. Because in the fastest parts of the track, where every other car was losing performance, Mercedes was gaining. More speed, more stability, more energy. 3 races, 3 pole positions, 0 weaknesses. That's not just dominance. That's a problem for the entire grid. Because if no one understands where this performance is coming from, then no one knows how to stop it. Subscribe now, because what Mercedes has unlocked might already be deciding the entire season. Right after that session ended, something unusual started happening. Not on track. Behind closed doors. Because while fans were reacting to the lap, teams were reacting to the data. And the mood shifted instantly. From surprise to concern. Engineers went straight back to their systems. Pulling telemetry. Comparing sector times. Overlaying speed traces. And this is where the panic really begins. Because Mercedes wasn't just faster in one area. They were faster everywhere. Corner entry, mid-corner speed, exit traction, straight line acceleration. There was no weakness, no compromise. And that's the first thing that doesn't make sense. Because in Formula One, performance always comes at a cost. You gain something, you lose something. That's the balance every team is fighting. But Mercedes didn't look like they were sacrificing anything. They had it all. And that's what triggered the first serious questions inside rival garages. But here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. When teams started comparing estimated telemetry, they noticed a pattern. A very specific one. Mercedes cars were arriving at key points on the track, with more energy available. Every single time. Not occasionally. Not in one sector. Across the entire lap. Which allowed them to do something no one else could. Push flat out, without managing. No lifting early. No saving mid-lap. No compromise at the end. Just continuous performance. And that should not be possible under the same regulations. Because energy is the main limitation. Every driver is balancing it. Deploying carefully. Recovering where possible. Always trading one phase for another. But Mercedes didn't look like they were trading anything. They looked unrestricted. And that's where the panic turns real. Because if one team has solved that limitation, then they haven't just built a faster car. They've changed the rules of the game. And this isn't just about Japan. This has been building all season. 3 races. 3 pole positions. Front row lockouts. Growing gaps. And no clear answer from the rest of the grid. That's when teams stop focusing on setup. They stop focusing on small upgrades. They start questioning the entire concept. Because if you're chasing the wrong idea, you're already losing. And right now, that's exactly how it feels inside the paddock. But there is one specific moment. One part of the lap, where this advantage becomes impossible to ignore. And once you understand that moment, you understand why this isn't just concern anymore. It's panic. There is one corner in Suzuka, where everything gets exposed. One moment, where every weakness shows. And every advantage becomes obvious. 130R. Flat out. No margin. No second chances. This is where drivers trust the car, or they don't. And this is exactly where teams started to panic. Because every other car showed a limitation. A small lift. A slight correction. A drop in speed. Not dramatic, but real. Because they had to manage energy. They had to protect the system. But Mercedes didn't. They went through that corner, completely flat. No hesitation. No instability. Nothing. And when engineers looked at the data, the gap was shocking. They were carrying significantly more speed than anyone else. Not by a small margin. By a difference that simply should not exist at this level. But here's the detail that changed everything. They did it without losing power. No clipping. No drop in deployment. Which means one thing. They arrived at the fastest part of the track, with full energy available. While everyone else was already running out. And that is where panic turns into something deeper. Because if you gain time there, you don't just gain in the corner. You gain all the way down the straight. Higher exit speed. Stronger acceleration. Better top speed. It multiplies. And Mercedes was winning every part of that sequence. But this is where it becomes even more serious. Because this isn't just about that corner. It's about how they arrive there. Lap after lap. perfect energy distribution. Deploying exactly when needed. Recovering where others can't. Using every phase of the lap with precision. Almost like the system is always one step ahead. And that's what the rest of the grid cannot explain. Because under these regulations, energy is the main limitation. It defines performance. It controls how far you can push. And yet, Mercedes doesn't seem limited at all. Which leads to the question nobody wants to face. Have Mercedes simply mastered the system? Or have they found something the others don't even understand yet? Because if it's the second option, then this isn't just dominance. This is a breakthrough. And breakthroughs in Formula 1 force reactions. Fast. But there's still one final piece. One detail that connects the car, the driver, and the panic spreading across the paddock. Because once you see that, you understand why teams are no longer just worried. They're running out of answers. And this is where the story takes a turn that no team was prepared for. Because what we're seeing from Mercedes is not just speed. It's control at a level that changes how the entire sport works. When engineers broke down the lap in detail, they didn't just see a faster car. They saw something far more worrying. Consistency. Not just one perfect sector. Not just one strong corner. Every phase of the lap, executed the same way. Lap after lap. No fluctuation. No instability. No degradation in performance. And that is extremely unusual. Because even the best cars have peaks and drops. Moments where grip fades. Moments where balance shifts. Moments where the driver has to react. But Mercedes didn't show any of that. The car looked planted. Predictable. Almost too stable. At speeds where stability shouldn't feel that easy. And that's what's triggering deeper concern inside rival teams. Because this points to something much bigger than setup. It points to a car that operates inside a wider performance window. A car that works in more conditions. At more speeds. With fewer compromises. And that is incredibly difficult to achieve. Because most teams are fighting a narrow window. One small mistake, and performance drops. One wrong adjustment, and the balance disappears. But Mercedes doesn't seem to have that problem. And that changes everything. Because if your car works everywhere, you don't need to chase the perfect lap. The lap comes naturally. And that's exactly what we saw in Japan. Antonelli didn't look like he was fighting the car. He looked like he was guiding it. Smooth inputs. Controlled aggression. Total confidence. And that confidence is what unlocks the final tenths. But here's where it becomes even more uncomfortable. Because if the car is this stable, this predictable, then there is still performance left. Hidden. Untapped. Because drivers only reach the limit when they trust the car completely. And Antonelli is only just getting started. Which means this might not even be the maximum. And that's the part that's spreading real panic. Because now teams are asking a different question. Not how fast Mercedes is today, but how fast they can become. Because if this is only the beginning, then the gap is not closing anytime soon. It's growing. And in Formula 1, when a gap becomes structural, it defines an era. So now, everything comes down to one final reality. Mercedes is not just ahead. They are operating on a different level of understanding. A different philosophy. A different interpretation of the rules. And the rest of the grid is trying to catch something they still don't fully understand. Which leads to the question no one inside the paddock can answer right now. Are we watching a dominant team? Or the start of something much bigger that the rest of Formula 1 simply cannot stop in time? And now, we reach the point where panic turns into something much more serious. Because inside Formula 1, panic doesn't last. It evolves. It becomes action. Behind closed doors, conversations have already started. Technical meetings. Private discussions. Teams comparing data, not to improve themselves, but to understand Mercedes. Because when you can't match performance, you try to explain it. And when you can't explain it, you start questioning it. This is the moment where Formula 1 changes tone. Because now, teams are no longer just looking at their own cars. They are looking at Mercedes in detail. Every system. Every behavior. Every advantage. And especially, the one area no one can replicate yet. Energy. Because if Mercedes has truly solved energy management, then the rest of the grid has a fundamental problem. Not a small one. A structural one. And structural problems don't get fixed in a week. They don't get fixed in a month. They can take entire seasons. But here's where the tension rises even more. Because while other teams are trying to understand, Mercedes keeps improving. They are not standing still. They are refining, optimizing, pushing further. And that creates a dangerous gap. Because now it's not just about catching up. It's about chasing something that keeps moving away. And this is exactly how dominant eras begin. Not with one win. Not with one pole, but with a concept that no one else can reach in time. We've seen it before. Teams finding something special. Something hidden inside the regulations. Something others missed. And by the time the rest understand it, it's already too late. And this feels very similar. But here's the final layer. The one that connects everything. Because this isn't just about Mercedes. It's about what the rest of Formula One does next. Do they try to copy it, even if it takes months? Do they gamble on a different direction, hoping Mercedes hits a limit? Or do they push for intervention, for clarification, for change? Because all three paths come with risk, and none of them guarantee success. And that's why this moment matters so much. Because what happened in Japan was not just a qualifying session. It was a signal, a warning, that one team might be operating ahead of the curve, ahead of the competition, maybe even ahead of the regulations' intent. And now the entire grid is reacting. Not calmly, not patiently, but urgently. Because if nothing changes, if Mercedes continues at this level, then the outcome of the season may already be taking shape. Not on race day, but right now. In data rooms, in engineering meetings, in decisions that will define everything that comes next. And the real question is no longer whether Mercedes is dominant. That part is already clear. The real question is this: how far will the rest of Formula One go to stop it?